Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Wendy, and I work out of our Charleston, South Carolina office in business development. So I was kind of able to jump in this one. So thrilled to do it. So with the new year, we thought what better topic to talk about is new construction. As we all know, in both Georgia and South Carolina, we have had a growth of about 20 or 30% in last year with new construction. So it's become a big part of our business. And with that, we have performed over 300 new construction inspections last year alone. And because of that, it really has allowed us to develop a process that helps you deal with some of those hassle, to allow you to have a hassle-free inspection process, because with the various different construction companies and that builders, they have different requests and requirements. And so we are set up and able to help navigate you through that to make it a very simple process. So that's going to be kind of when then Rael's going to jump into all the little nuances that go in with new construction inspection. So we're going to get started in just a minute. I just want to remind everybody, we are going to be allowing for a question and answer period after this. So if you have anything that comes to mind or any questions during the presentation, please put those into our Q&A section, and then we're going to be talking about those, and Rael will be answering your questions then after his presentation. So with that, Rael, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. Just a little bit of background here. I've been with HomeProbe for many, many years and actually covered almost 4,000 inspections in my time. The last couple of years, I've been teaching some CE classes and doing some marketing for the company. So I'm going to share some of my expertise with you all, and hopefully we can get some questions and answers. Certainly things straightened out that you might have been puzzled about, or maybe you knew it all. But here we are for a short session with each other. And let's get on started. So we named this Two Truths and a Lie about new construction. And new construction can take the form of brand new construction of new homes, or perhaps a major renovation or a flip, which is also, really strong in the market for the last couple of years. So let's just deal with those truths and a lie. So we'll start off actually with a lie. Number one, you don't need a home inspection by a private company because the city or the county inspectors will check out the whole process from start to finish. And that's really common that you would hear that. So let's look at what the city or county inspectors do. Well, they have about 25 or 30 inspections to do each working day approximately, and they leave their home with their workload at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and they're back around 4 p.m. So figure in some travel time to each different location and about 30 minutes for lunch. How much time does that city inspector have to actually check out the property structure, the electrical, the HVAC, and the plumbing when on site? Well, really not a whole lot. So here's an example of an inspection that I did back 2 years ago on DeKalb Avenue here in Atlanta. Brand new townhouse construction condominium. The agent had actually recommended our company HomeProbe for an inspection. And I met the buyer. It was a very hot day in the summer, and he did not look happy at all. Maybe it was the heat, but when I got out of my car, introduced myself, he just really didn't want to do that inspection. He said, I don't understand why my agent would even recommend that I have you come out and do this inspection when all I'm really waiting for now is my certificate of occupancy, which is actually the final sign off by the county that everything is okay and they can proceed and he can move in to the property. Well, I said to him, look, it's really hot today. I know that I'm looking at perhaps over 140 degrees in the attic of this unit. If you really don't want to do this inspection, I'm fine with it, but I want you to call your agent and I want to hear her say to me that you don't need to do this inspection and we'll call it a day. And so he did call her, and fortunately able to get her on the cell phone, put her on speaker, and he basically said, look, I don't think I need this. and she was absolutely adamant that we'd go ahead and do the inspection. I'm not going to share to you exactly what she said to him, but it was very, very strongly worded that he needed to get us to do the inspection. Inspections for us take in a townhouse 2 to 3 hours, depending on its size, and which is, you know, really, really technical, and it's very involved. So he grudgingly agreed, and we went on. And I said to him, look, you know, follow me around, watch what I do, and we'll work through this thing. It's a 3-level home. We start off on the first floor, which is where the kitchen was located. It's a lot of equipment on the first floor or in the garage, electrical system, the kitchen, water shutoffs, etc. So I was, you know, testing everything out in that townhouse. And we got through the kitchen, and it was about 45 minutes when I got done. And that's where I kind of lost him. He was kind of looking at me after I tested every single electrical outlet and every window and every door. And so he was quite content at that point to sit on the steps and let me do the rest of the inspection on my own. So there we have a situation. So we were done with the inspection. 2.5 hours later, he actually thanked me for the diligence and for, you know, just going through what I did and explaining it to him. And we both left the property. I went into my car, did a couple of final little notes so that I could send it right on over to him and the agent. When, sure enough, here came the city inspector to the property. So I shut down my computer and I got out of the car to walk over and introduce myself to him. I could not get out of my car fast enough because literally he'd driven off by the time I got out of my vehicle. So he never went into the home, never checked anything out for the final, and he was gone in less than 20 seconds from the property. That was one of the most serious lack of final inspection that I'd ever seen. Sure enough, the next day they got the final and the certificate of occupancy, and they were good to go. So, truth number one, that kind of dealt with the lie of, you know, you really shouldn't get a private inspection done by an outside source when we're talking about going through new construction, either for an addition, a flip, or brand new construction. So let's look at truth number one. You'll be covered by the builder's warranty for 1 year after closing, and that is true. So you'll get the builder's warranty, and you're good to go. You're happy in case something does show up. But what about a structural defect that doesn't show up during that first year? All right, so I did an inspection on a $2 million house out here in one of the neighborhoods called Sandy Springs in Atlanta, and they had a full basement. And one of the new construction, you know, the way they do engineered construction now, as you can see this photo of this truss that is actually a floor joist. They use them up for really long distances in a basement. Sometimes it'll run from one side of the foundation all the way to the other. The biggest part of this is that it needs to be resting on support on both ends at the foundation, usually on the actual concrete foundation, sometimes on a cement block wall, and sometimes just on a steel column. But it needs to be secured and supported on both ends. In this particular case, on the home, the one side, which was actually holding up 2 floors above and a brick fireplace, there was no support under the actual beam. So you see the bottom picture here where the floor is actually settled a couple of inches. This house was actually 4 years old. And that's what it settled already within 4 years because of all that weight. You know, you figure the construction is one thing, but when you start adding furniture and refrigerators and countertops and stuff, that's when the pressure is there pushing on that floor joist and causing it to settle. So here we see the engineered floor truss holding up this floor system with no support at the side where the fireplace was located, and within a few years it already started to settle. at that point, how are we going to move forward from there? Here's a look at a couple of little pictures, great advertisement for Rubbermaid. This was a renovation that was done, and they had used these two pieces of plastic containers to hold up a section underneath an addition. This is not totally unusual. A lot of times contractors will think that inspectors do not go into crawl spaces. For the most part, in all the years that I was doing it, I never found a city or county inspector that went in one. We went into all of them. Just kind of, here's a secondary picture. Another idea of up underneath the shower. So it's not uncommon to find weird and wacky methods of holding up floor systems. Just a couple of examples there. Here's one on brand new construction. You can see here's the major beam that's running all the way across the house. And all there was one 2x4 holding up this whole section here, simply because there had been a change in where this particular foundation vent was located in the plan and changed at the last moment. So the placement of the crawl space vent was changed in the plans. The main support beam, as you can see, is resting on one piece of 2x4. And the house had just passed the local municipal code inspection. So, we find these things on a fairly, I wouldn't say frequent, but perhaps infrequent basis, but it is there. And that's really why you want to get into having a private home inspection, even on new construction. So how about this electrical issue? After a final inspection, closing and moving in, the clients found that they had no power in the master bathroom. So with an inspection with Home Probe, that probably would have been addressed prior to closing, and then they would have had it repaired and it would have been operational. Okay. Just because they're new homes do not mean that they're perfect. That is the truth. So the city and county inspections do not guarantee that there will be no structural defects in the building process, and they are not liable for any defects that present themselves over time. So it's up to the client and the builder to sort it out. Well, guess who's going to be in the middle of that situation? You guessed it. You're the agent. You're going to get that phone call. There's no question about that. So here's a hint. After closing, when the builders and subcontractors have been paid, how much motivation is there really, to put the client with a problem at the front of the line for repairs? Once the closing is already taking place, especially if the flip is an investor, the natural tendency would be to, place other homes on the front of the list because they'd want to go ahead and have more homes sold, get to closing, and they would send their resources there. So, Home Probe offers a full home inspection when the home is under contract and in the due diligence phase. The average inspection, as I mentioned before, takes about 3 hours, in which all the components are tested and evaluated, from structural, HVAC, electrical, and plumbing. And this inspection that has, a lot more time designated to each component to ensure its correct installation and operation. So, we do the inspections according to ASHI standards. So you can Google the ASHI standards of practice for complete listing of items inspected and their methods of inspection. So, to give you an example, with ASHI standards of practice, we need to report on the method that we inspected it by, what it was actually doing at the time of inspection, and if it was not up to a working order, or if it was defective in any way, we should recommend what we take for repair. So sometimes, in new construction especially, folks figure out, well, hey, if we do a complete inspection by an outside source, then it'll be just like a punch list for the builder to complete. But in actual fact, what we're not looking for are the little dings in the wall that perhaps, was a minor thing, a scratch on a door, a scratch on a window. We're looking for the elephants in the room. We're looking for things that are going to be a major expense. you know, what you should actually do as a potential buyer, and this is what you as an agent can recommend to your client and maybe meet them, is get yourself a roll of painter's tape, little blue tape, and walk each room and just kind of tag all of these little, you know, little nitpicking things that you're going to find, you know, before you go to closing. Things that are the actual punch out list. You know, you'll get some of them from us as inspectors, but the very tiny little things, you know, you won't get there. So, you know, that might be something that some of your clients are really going to be upset about, you know, and certainly if there was a paint differential by the touch up, sometimes we used to see the fact that they used a egg, you know, an egg gloss finish versus a high gloss finish, eggshell versus high gloss or flat, and they touched it up with the incorrect paint. You know, some little minor thing like that may or not be pointed out, but your client might be really, you know, something going to upset them like that. And if there's no paint to go up and do it themselves afterwards, that might be an issue. So it's a good idea to actually use that punch out list of your own rather than relying on anybody else. So the ASHI inspection is there to provide the buyer with information about the home and its components that are defective and possible safety issues that would influence the sale of the home at the time of the inspection. So components that would need repair or replacement after the 1-year builder's warranty has expired, and that's what we're looking for. So recommendation I would make is, and this is where Wendy's going to jump in here for just a moment to give you a little information before we finish out. Wendy, you need to unmute and then go for it.
There we go. Thank you, Rael, so much for that. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to be opening it up for questions and answers. But for any of you, you may need to jump off. But I wanted to let everybody know that since you've joined us for the beginning of our series, you're going to be automatically enrolled into the remaining classes that we have coming up. So we've got some great topics. We're even working on a live pre-drywall inspection the end of this month. So we hope you can join us, but you're going to be getting an automatic link. You're already registered, so we hope you can join us with that. So any questions and answers? And I think Barbara's going to kind of monitor that. I don't see anything in the queue right now, but please speak up. We want this to be kind of an open forum. So ask any of those questions that we know you have when you're out there with the client or with the contractor.
So I'll just kind of finish out here. So if your client is having a custom home built, or if you're doing a renovation, you know, contact HomePro to do a phased inspection process as the home is being built or as the project is underway. You know, before the drywall installed is a great time to do one of these. If you don't actually do it from the foundation point, certainly do it before the drywall is installed, because all the structure and all of the wiring and all of the HVAC, you know, that plumbing, it's all visible to us before the drywall is installed. Once the drywall is not, you know, once the drywall is installed, all of that stuff is hidden. So, you know, then again, after the process is completed, then go ahead and do one when they tell you that everything is done and ready to go to closing. You're in that due diligence period. Let us come back and go through the whole process from start to finish all over again. And then whatever would come up at that point, we'd be able to address before you go to closing. So I notice now that there are a couple of questions in the Q&A. The first question is, I'm in contract with a new construction, would be best time to do an inspection. So again, I'm just thinking that just like as we just mentioned, you know, call the office and see, you know, how you'd want to set that up, do that phased inspection from the very get-go, or depending how far along you are in line, you know, in the process, we could certainly set you up, you know, from that point moving forward. Second request was from Dawn about, you know, provide the name of an inspection.
No, your name, Rael.
Oh, they're looking at me. My name is Rael Levin, retired inspector, and now doing, you know, not doing these type of webinars and CE classes. Hi, Marianne. how many inspections do you recommend, but what do you mean by phased? So by phased, we mean from the very get-go. The very get-go means from the time that they actually dig the trenches and are ready to pour the foundation, on to the next phase would be the structural stuff. So we're looking at the floor joists, the framework, the ceiling joists, the structure in the attic. At that point, we're looking at the bones of the home. And then we move on to the mechanicals, so the plumbing, the electrical, so everything then at the next point, like the plumbing, the electrical, the HVAC, etc., would all be done when all of those 4 items are actually done right before the actual sheetrock's installed. And you would also then do that final inspection. They also, yes, I was a former contractor for about 30 years before I became an inspector. What type of, so again, Dawn is asking about the warranty. If an undetected structural issue arises after 1 year. So, Barbara could probably jump in and give what the latest is. We do cover for anything that we might have had as an issue that we missed at the time of the inspection.
One thing to add back to, as far as the phases and the various types of inspections, the most common one that we do is a pre-drywall. So what you would do is you would speak with the builder and let them know that you're going to be having one. And then they will be notifying you just before they are ready to put that drywall up and for you to come out and do the inspection. Barbara, did you want to address the
warranty issue?
The warranty issue?
Well, the warranty, it's still the same. It's 100 days from what was written in our report.
So if something is missed, if we do the inspection and something is missed, we guarantee that for 90 days following our inspection. So as far as talking about the 1 year, then that would fall under the category of the contractor. But with our inspections, if we're telling you something that works and from 100 days after we find that there's an issue, we will definitely take care of that for you.
Right, and like if the garbage disposal is working at the inspection, but then it's not when they move in, we would cover that because it was within the 100 days.
Right. We hope that answers your questions. If not, please let us know. Rael, here's another one. See Marianne. Okay.
Yes, yeah, I'm actually just sending her to ask her exactly what she requires. So I'm hoping to get a, you can reach me. Anybody needs to reach me for a question. I can be reached at Rael, R-A-E-L, at home, H-O-M-E -probe, P-R-O-B-E.com. And I'd be happy to be able to assist you in any way that I can. We're always here for you. So Carolina, Georgia, we're here. We can answer questions. Matter of fact, any issues that come up as far as questions by any of your homeowners, for as long as they own their home, we'll be more than happy to try to answer any kind of questions that you may have about your property.
I think we've covered all the questions, and we want to thank everybody for joining us. And like I mentioned, you're going to be receiving a link to each one of our classes this series. So we hope that you can join us and have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Wendy.
Bye.